When I started reviewing video games, I told myself I would review every single game right to the finish. Until the Waylanders. This game broke me. Let's begin. Now, I will admit straight away that I was not able to finish this game. Playing it was absolute torture, and quite frankly, I'm not even sure I could have finished it even if I wanted to. I could not physically complete 2 of the different endgame quests since they would always crash to desktop right at the very end. And I have no interest in waiting for a hotfix or trying to find my own workaround. The Steam discussions paint a picture of an absolutely unfinishable game for those who actually get past this point, so I really don't see the point in me trying. Here goes. Set in a Celtic myth-inspired universe with an ancient Greek overlay, The Waylanders is a third-person party-based RPG very similar to Dragon Age Origins in how it plays and presents. It just dropped out of early access into a full release build on the 3rd of February, and man, it is awful. Originally backed on Kickstarter, The Waylanders was in early access for roughly 1.5 years, and it has all the usual aspects and segments of any other RPG, including quests, story, side characters, skill trees, stats, loot, and all the other things that come with the genre. Except here's the thing, it does every single one of these wrong.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
This is usually where I'd start diving into some of the mechanics of the game, some of the things I think it did right, and some of the things I loved, except I can't do that here. Nothing was done right, and I didn't like anything about this game. Nothing in The Waylanders inspired any form of happy emotion from me. I never smiled, I was never invested, and even when the planets aligned and I was shown a hint of wanting to keep playing, the game did something to ruin my experience. I'll start with this. The Waylanders is a disastrously badly made game. It plays like an early alpha build. Nothing feels complete, nothing feels fleshed out, and nothing is balanced. Let's start with the character creation and the leveling. Probably the only bit I won't want to pull my hair out as I write this damned script. What you have here at first glance is okay. Sure, the graphics aren't great, but you get 4 races and 6 classes to choose from, and that's pretty good, right? 6 classes? That's more than Dragon Age has. I'm pretty sure anyway. But hold your horses. When creating your character, you immediately run into the first hint of this game being unfinished. When selecting between the male and the female characters, you'll notice that the female models just have their badonkadonks uncovered and ready for the world to see. By itself, this isn't a huge problem. I'm an adult, adults like titties, titties are great. Be right back, I'm just gonna go say hello to my fiance real quick for no reason. What is a problem is that they don't have nipples. The male characters have nipples, the boobless race has nipples, the others don't. What makes this worse, and I hope this will begin to hammer the point home that this is a broken and unfinished game to its core, is the fact that this isn't an adult-rated game. I can't show you for obvious reasons, but there are no other sections of the game that even hint at nudity. Female models have all their bare essentials covered at all other times, as well as the male characters. There isn't even nudity when it comes to the romance of the game. Yes, there is romance. How this made it into the game is baffling, especially when it was known as a thing that is in the game over a year ago. Next up is the classes, and like I said, there are 6, and this might be the only segment of this game that isn't a broken mess. You've got the warrior, guardian, ranger, rogue, healer, and sorcerer. They all do play uniquely, and they all seem to have their uses. There are a few other classes in the game as well, but these are mostly reserved for named NPCs and aren't actually creatable as your own character. Now, each class is balanced well enough to the point that I couldn't pick out a clear favourite. My ranger did the most damage, but he died quickly. My guardian stayed alive no matter what the game threw at him, but he was equipped with a permanent wet noodle. My healer did his job, albeit very, very slowly. Just as an aside, if you do decide to play this game, to avoid having to do what I'm doing on screen, just play on the 3rd highest difficulty. It heals your party in between encounters, and trust me, you will want this. I played on the 4th highest difficulty, and this meant I had no in-between encounter healing, and that fact drove me nuts. It takes forever. Editor Cam here, and I've just discovered something. Apparently the difficulties are broken. After writing the script, I learnt that lowering the difficulty does nothing to improve the health regen, so yeah, have fun standing in a circle for 5 minutes every 20 seconds. The next big issue I have with the leveling up and character creation part of the game is that when you are leveling up, you have to choose between the stats that you want to give your characters. Now you have the option of resistance, health, dodge, crit chance, ability efficiency, whatever that means, and your cooldown speed. Now I am sure that whoever invented this system had grand plans for it and thought it was going to be the next best thing, but this system feels a bit like when someone is telling you that society should replace money with special tokens that have a certain value and are totally different to money in every way. It is just crazily unbalanced. Resistance and health are the only important stats for your frontline characters, while crit chance is the only thing that you need for your other characters, no matter what class they are. What would you prefer at max level? A 75% base chance to critical hit your damage, or a 20% cooldown reduction on a skill that only takes 2 seconds to recharge in the first place? I will mention here that each class technically has 3 subclasses, but I really don't think that they're really worth mentioning beyond this, simply because A, they're not finished, each of them says something about string theory, entry leveling, or some bullshit like that, just basically missing code, and the other thing is that you have to fight through 10 hours of the game to get to that point anyway, and no one wants to do that. Moving on to the story now, and oh, fuck me sideways, this is just about the worst part of this game. It really is hard to put into words just how and why I feel the way I do, and overall, I don't think the arching story, while being terrible, is the real problem with this game. The problem with the game is the portrayal of every quest. Imagine if someone tried to explain the plot of Lord of the Rings by showing 10 screenshots, 9 of which are from the first movie, with the last one being of Gollum falling into Mount Doom, and then overlaying every single one of those screenshots with a brief history on the history of Rohan. Did you know that Rohan was actually once part of Gondor? Oh well, that's the movie plot. Cheerio. Now imagine trying to understand the plot of those 3 movies. That is exactly what following the plot of these quests feels like. It's impossible to understand, it jumps around with no context, and they always end so suddenly that you can't help but feel like the entire plot is just deleted every time. Every single time, a character will offhandedly mention something about needing to go somewhere, and of course you have to agree. From that point on, all hell breaks loose. Shit will happen, and it's like this big joke that everyone but you, the main character, is in on. Characters will often show up and just casually join your party without so much as a how do you do, and you'll go and kill a few wolves and maybe a giant spider if you're lucky, and bam, the game fades to black and you're back on the boat, with a new character to level up, because why not? Nothing is ever explained to you, the player, the one on this fucking journey, in a way that makes sense. You are constantly having to jump through hoops, and then it fades to black, and then you're back on the boat. That's what happens every fucking time. Believe it or not, but it gets worse. If you complete a quest for anyone, and I'm talking anyone, you get given nothing to go off, since once you kill the last enemy in any quest, that's it. You're teleported back to the home area with no context and nothing else to go off. But not only that, if you try to go and talk to the person afterwards, they will just start a romance dialogue and try to fuck you. It's on a whole new level of bizarre. You could have talked to someone twice in your character's entire existence, and bam, the King of Britannica himself is bending over in front of you. I literally just got done doing a quest and he's already asking to fuck me. What's worse is that if you actually do want to go and talk to someone after this, you can't talk to them about the quest, because often if they aren't trying to pull their pants down in front of you, they'll just initiate the same quest dialogue that they had before. It's madness. It truly is impossible to keep your immersion going in this game. Nothing is fluid. Just look at how I obtained a new follower here. Just about the most random thing I've ever experienced. A little dude just hopped out, didn't say any words, and then bam, he's in my party. That's just how it works here.
Isn't it lovely? Can we please keep it?
Alright, moving on to the combat now, and you know, when I first wrote this script, I was going to say that it's fine. You know, nothing awful, nothing fantastic, but it's not the worst part of the game. And while it's not the worst part of the game, bugging me sideways is it bad. It can be fun, but as the saying goes, a broken clock is right twice a day. And before I begin whinging even more about this game, I will give a brief synopsis just to be fair. You have 5 people in your party and you can pause the game at any moment, allowing you to do things like assign skills or move a character in a different direction. You can assign AI to control the characters you aren't controlling in 3 different ways as well. Passively, where they will literally do nothing but stand there like stunned mullets. Actively, where they will only use their basic attack in combat, allowing you more control over their skill usage, and aggressively, the only one I used, where the AI will use all of the abilities it has on offer during an encounter. You are supposedly given the ability to queue the abilities for the AI to use, but I could never figure this mechanic out, and there is a mechanic unique to this game where your characters essentially pull a Goku and Vegeta and fuse together. This can be powerful, but it is just as, if not more buggy than the rest of the entire game. Now, like I said, this game can be fun, but man, those are some rare moments. There are so many things actively working against this game, it physically hurts me to think about. but here goes anyway. The movement is awful and unresponsive. You can often switch to a character and for whatever reason you'll have to jumpstart the game into letting you maneuver them away from danger. And on top of this, the game's camera is your constant fucking enemy. It feels like, and this is probably true by the way, zero effort was put into making sure the camera actually works. Instead, you'll often just be face fucking walls while your character's heads are getting beaten in. The combat AI is also completely fucking stupid. Enemies, and your own allies for that matter, will often hone in on one enemy and completely ignore everything else around them, meaning they will just get cut to pieces trying to charge the backline of whatever they're trying to attack. They just ignore everything, chase them, that's it. In almost every encounter, there is no strategy. Just throw it out the window. Wait, there is one strategy, but that strategy is pretty basic. Essentially, I just switch between my characters, spamming every single ability, barely stopping to think. Abilities, by the way, also barely have any unique animations, and oftentimes you'll just see characters doing the same animation for 4 or 5 of their 8 maximum skills. It is really difficult to have fun here if you haven't caught that drift already. There are also just very few interesting bosses in this game in general, or even interesting moments to speak of, since you honestly never have any idea what is happening at any point in the game. And the one truly fun moment I thought I was going to come across, a battle with an ancient dragon, was ruined by the fact that it's impossible to tell what's happening. The dragon didn't do much more than just stomp its claws, and it bugged out like 5 times in a fucking row. And that right there, the bugs, is the worst part of this game. Actually, it's twofold. The bugs and the complete lack of polish and finishness this game has to offer. It is a game that just came out of early access, and being the fool of a took I am, I figured that meant this game would be finished.
Fool of a took.
Well, I was wrong. This game isn't finished. Not only are there so many bugs, like an incredible amount of bugs, but the game just doesn't feel finished at all. And there are even references to the fact that it's still in early access in the game. Like, there are items that say early access. There are skills that just say early access. It's pathetic. The developers have even acknowledged this on Kickstarter, but in the worst of ways. They admitted to not even trying to post a full release update and have admitted to a few bugs that reviewers have made them aware of. Get fucked. Unfinishable quests, awful dialogue, and just about the worst voice acting I've ever experienced, and a ludicrous amount of bugs, and just an awfully painful experience is what is in store for those who want to buy this game.
Nice.
I really could go on and on about why I hate this game. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm going to change the script and do that. Let's go. This game runs like garbage, it has constant FPS drops, it crashes when you have the audacity to finish quests, it is completely unresponsive at times, and it often just freezes for no apparent reason. Have a look what happens when you put the graphics on low. Just about the only thing that is good and functioning in this game is the fact that it lets you Alt F4 without complaining. It's the only thing it's good at. There are also so many parts of the game that I haven't even mentioned yet that just feel awful. Crafting barely exists, shops are all but pointless, the UI is fucking awful, and there is a complete lack of quality of life, and when it does exist, it's broken. I really hope it's clear by now just how much I hate this game. There is nothing about it that is finished, nothing that is good, nothing that is polished, and for that reason, it gets a 0 out of 10. It does not deserve anything more than that. There is nothing good about it. It is a shining example as to why early access games, even in early access, need to be criticized just as much as any other game. I didn't think I would get to my first 0 out of 10 review that quickly. It was only, I don't know, 6 months ago when I first started this channel, for Pete's sake, and this game has been a real eye-opener. It's really taught me how to hate something so massively, but still persevere and keep playing. This game was in early access for a year and a half. When it first dropped, it was hailed as the future of gaming or some other bullshit like that, and look where that got us, a 0 out of 10. That's it for now, guys. If you like the content, please like and subscribe for more PC gaming content and PC gaming reviews. I'm going to be trying my best to put out a video a week. I don't think you'd regret it. For those of you who want to learn about the horrible future of gaming regarding NFTs, please watch this one. My name is Cameron. This has been the Aussie Perspective. I'll see you next time.